Final Fantasy. Those two words are like music to my ears, unless they are followed by a 13, but that's for another review. If you aren't familiar with the Final Fantasy series, it's a string of loosely tied RPGs originally driven by random enemy encounters and turn-based battle systems, and later incorporating more modern gameplay. Final Fantasy X is the last of the traditional RPGs in the series. The producer of almost every early Final Fantasy game left Square Enix shortly after Final Fantasy X's sequel was released. When he left, the traditional style of RPG left with him. Final Fantasy X was the bridge between old and new, blending the traditions of early RPGs with next-generation graphics. This makes for a very solid gaming experience, especially for a retro gamer like myself. The story is set in a land called Spira, which oddly enough sounds to me like a brand of bottled water. The main protagonist, Tidus, is the star player of the Zanarkand Apes in the city of Zanarkand. During a game of Blitzball, Zanarkand is attacked and Tidus gets transported 1,000 years into the future. In this future, he learns of a beast called Sin, who causes mass destruction all over Spira. He then travels Spira with his friends, kicking butt and taking names in the process. The old school Final Fantasy games had a turn-based battle system that was 1-to-1, meaning that you took a turn, then the enemy took a turn. Very simple. Almost too simple. Sometime later, they moved to an active time battle system, or ATB. Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 all have this system and all worked about the same. You fill your ATB gauge by waiting, and when it's full, you get a turn. Same applies to enemies. 10 is different though. Instead of the ATB, it uses the Conditional Turn-Based Battle System, or CTB. The CTB system uses players' speed and current battle conditions, such as haste, to determine the order in which characters take turns. This makes it possible to act and react to the turns that are coming up in the line. In other words, monster go bye-bye before monster know what happened. Another important aspect of the gameplay are the overdrives. They've been called limit breaks, trances, etc. But quite simply, they are super attacks that you can use after you have built your overdrive gauge. Unlike its predecessors, Final Fantasy X's overdrives are interactive. These usually involve entering a combination of button presses to maximize the damage done by the overdrive. There are also trigger commands and summoning, but I'll let you figure those out for yourself. The last thing I want to talk about gameplay-wise is the leveling system. In most RPGs, your characters level automatically after earning enough experience points. In Final Fantasy X, you have the sphere grid. In battles, you earn ability points. Now, some of you might be saying, if you earn ability points during battle, isn't that the same thing as earning experience? Well, only slightly. You see, when you get enough ability points, you earn a sphere level. But if you earn a sphere level, how is that any different from earning a regular level? I'm getting to that, be patient. When you earn sphere levels, you can use those on the sphere grid. For each sphere level you have, you get to move to another node, and you can activate that node using ability spheres, magic spheres, and other spheres. Had enough spheres yet? It may seem complex, but it really isn't. The greatest part of the sphere grid is that you can merge over into another character's path on the grid. So if you want Yuna to be a super powerful warrior, you can put her on Auron's path on the sphere grid. Okay, I'm done saying sphere for now. Alright, while we're on the subject of gameplay, let's talk about the controls. The controls are pretty standard, nothing sticks out as annoying or unusual. When outside of battle, you use the left control stick to move around, and unlike a certain Mega Man game, you can press X to interact with your environment. Pressing triangle brings up your party menu and circle cancels. Pretty standard for an American Final Fantasy game. In battle, you have a standard menu to pick from, and battle offers a very unique feature. If you press L1 during a fight, you can switch players in and out of battle. There is no penalty for switching characters out either. This means you can start out with Kamari, find out that he sucks, and switch over to Yuna, who will take care of business. Alright, enough about gameplay. Let's talk about the game's music. It's awesome. Moving on. Visuals! The PS2's new graphic engine gave the developers a lot more playroom, and the end result is stunning. It still holds up to current generation standards, especially when it comes to the pre-rendered cutscenes. The characters are all very distinct and have their own style. I mean, how can you not love Wakka's hair? So the gameplay is perfect, the visuals are stunning, and the music is amazing. What more could you ask for? Final Fantasy X gets a 10 out of 10.
Next time on the Clean Video Game Nerd Channel.